Hey, konnichiwa minasan, it's Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House over in Japan. How are you doing? You good? I hope you're genki. Today I have a very special guest. He's a great comic book and YouTube buddy. It's Pops from the Pops channel. How are you doing today, Pops?
Oh, I'm so blessed to be here, my friend. It's always awesome to talk comic books around the world with you, buddy, and hanging out in the Wakazashi dojo with Gray. Let's do it, folks. Let's just have a good time.
Let's do it. And again, I really appreciate using that word. I need to use that word more often because I am blessed. I'm blessed to have the company, blessed to have somebody who's got similar interests, and to get great recommendations from you as well. Because Pops, you put me onto Local Man, and I haven't read issue 3 yet. I've heard it's just come out on Wednesday, so looking forward to picking that up. But I've seen a few reviews, and they were raving about it.
It seems like just everything about the I'll say the indie slash image sphere right now is where all of the good stuff kind of lies, and with just very few exceptions. And I say that over the long haul. Like, sure, we can have a few issues, but then it just seems like something will deteriorate. They swap out artists or writers and things fall apart. But let me say this too about Blessed. Listen, folks, if you want to just, because we have that world we live in where you're trying to have like pleasantries when you're out and about and you just say, how you doing? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day, whatever. Just using the word blessed instead, I am blessed, or and saying, I hope you have a blessed day. For some reason, it just makes a difference. And I don't know how I ended up started doing that. And I would never stop doing that now because it makes me feel better, and hopefully it makes other people feel better. So.
It does. Well, it worked with me, Pops. You put me in a great mood right from the start. I've genkied up, as I say, so
You
I
Genkied
appreciate
up. It
that.
should be a shirt. Are you Genki?
I might do that. I might bring out some Wakizashi t-shirts in the future. That's a good idea. So, as you were saying then about indie, I think the indie scene for me as well as you has been really booming recently. Part of that has been because I got a bit sick of Marvel's content and some DC content, but I've been finding a lot of good stuff from Image, especially the Mark Millar titles. Pops, what's going on with Mark Millar at the moment? He seems to be having a renaissance, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of Image. I mean, you turned me on to the Spawn stuff, and I'm like a
The
little
Spawn stuff.
child because I have to stop myself. I have to do only like 3 to 5 issues at a time to try to even remotely catch it. Otherwise, I'll just do like 20, and I just won't read anything else. I won't have anything else done.
I know, right?
So,
It's really
so
good,
I'm
isn't
like,
it?
it's fantastic, especially Brett Booth and
Oh,
Javier Fernandez's art. They're just their art and the pacing, the style. So that's kind of got me down the rabbit hole. Then, of course, like you say, everything that Mark Millar's been doing over the last few years, I think King of Spies is just a gem. King of
oh,
Spies is still, I think, one of the best
it's a
comic
classic.
books of the last few years. It's a must read. It's only a few issues. It's fantastic. And I think that he also seems to get, and I don't know if this is consistent, so you can answer this, is
Hmm.
he's adopted what I think is the best model right now, and that's the Hellboy model. Tell a story for, let's say, so many issues and then move on to another story. So you have it's Hellboy colon, you know, whatever that story is, and they move on. It's not as numerical, because I think with the numerical stuff, what's happening is they're not creating enough editorial oversight to maintain
Right.
consistency. So when we were young and you read Batman, even if they changed artists, the editorial stuff was like, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now I read Spider-Man, I have no idea what's going on. There's no
No.
references to what happened last time. They'll up and change artists from one book to the next, and they expect me to be okay with that. I'm the problem if I don't like it. And I'm like, it's just, I can't do it. Image, Mark Millar, they seem like they've got their act together.
It's very good that you point that out. He's limiting himself to like limited issue series, isn't he? He's doing 4, 5, or maybe 6 is the most recently. Mini series where he's just keeping the story contained. And what I've noticed, he's been getting some absolutely on fire artists recently. We've got people like is it Jorge Jimenez? He's had Frank Quietly on the Ambassadors. He's also got this artist I want to talk about with you tonight, and it's a Canadian artist. So I don't know the name. I only found out from him, but he's called Travis Charest, and apparently he's famous for being one of the slowest producers of work of comic book work, in artdom in the comic book scene.
Well, you showed me the book you were referencing, and I have not read this yet. I just did a quick little peruse of it, and I understand why he's so slow. It's kind of like the Ethan Van Sciver situation, where there's so much attention spent on every little detail in the background. I mean, there's a dead tree in one of the panels, and there's something in the tree. I don't know what that is, or it's a silhouette of the balcony on the other side of the dead tree. Like, that level of things interests me greatly because it immerses me into the world that they're playing in. It makes me want to feel a part of everything. Um, like a few pages later, I think there's someone like in a room, and you can see like a little computer or TV monitor, but there's different books leaning up against it. Everything has little hash marks. There's just so much shadowing going on.
Mm.
Yeah, I really just I could not believe it. I this is the kind of stuff that got us into comic books.
Well, I dropped a review of this my time. It was last night, so it came out Wednesday morning in American time, and it's doing quite well. But to be honest, the Mark Millar titles don't really get that many views, Pops. From what I've been reading, what I've been hearing, the local comic book shops are kind of not under ordering. What's the right word? They're ordering very carefully, very cautiously. So they're all selling out. You know, they only get like maybe three issues or four issues of a new number one. And I've heard this from quite a few people. They're saying that they can't get hold of them in the comic book shops.
So what's going to happen there is the same thing that happened with like Invincible. Like when it blows up,
Yeah.
it's just they're gone. So he'll be doing trade paperbacks, and they'll be like on the sixth printing of a trade paperback, and the originals are all like $100 or more just for a regular copy because nobody has them. I've never really looked up to see what the print runs are on a lot of the Mark Millar stuff.
No.
I'm late to the game too, so I can't really be throwing rocks at somebody for not jumping all in. But I can tell you this: looking at Ambassador 3, I'm all in on giving 1 through 3 a look and a review ASAP. This is like totally my speed of what I'm interested in. Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, I just say I recommend it. I'm not saying it's the greatest story, the greatest comic ever written, but what I like about this series is it's limited to 6 issues, Pops, and he's got a different artist for each issue. That's what I've heard. The first one, as I say, it was Frank Quietly, and then we had, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of the second one. Let me just quickly check it on here. If you check League of Comic Book Geeks.
Carl Kerschel?
Oh, thank you. That's the one. Carl Kerschel, yes. Then Travis Charest is on this one, issue 3. We've got Olivier Coipel coming on issue 4. I've heard his name before. Matteo Buffagni, I don't know him, on issue 5. And then finally, Matteo Scalera, who did King of Spies, of course, which you were talking about before. That's issue 6.
So I definitely have mixed feelings because I would rather see an artist on a series so that there's the consistency from book to book.
Right.
So I will be honest with my assessment that just at a high level, that would be my first thought is I don't like it when they change because I like a certain type of design and feel and look. And if it dramatically bounces around a little bit, I don't tend to enjoy it as much. And again, this is just the aesthetics of me, not a critique of the story or anything like that. Just
sure.
I like the consistency, but no, I'm all in. And issue number 3 in and of itself may possibly be just, diamond in the rough kind of thing. That's just crazy. That detail's nuts.
Well, as I say, I told you I didn't know the artist, and Mark Millar, just as the issue came out, he dropped an interview on his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is called Millar Time, and he's interviewing this artist, Travis, and it's fascinating to hear his story. He didn't start off as a traditional artist. He didn't go to art school or college, but his talent is indisputable. It's gorgeous. He's got like an almost draftsman style to him. The detail, as you said. So I'm looking for things he's done before, and it's very hard to find anything, Pops, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I've got him marked on Twitter now. I've got I'm gonna may have to just tap into this Mark Millar YouTube channel and do reaction videos and stuff like that too. And I will go back to what you were saying earlier about the it's not blowing up and we're not getting the views. Well, let's just be honest. First off, the entire comic industry is under stigma, whether they like it or not, whether or not they're doing good or not. You can't have people out there criticizing, Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man regularly, which we are, and not think that it's going to negatively impact the industry as whole. And I'm and it's crazy to think that we're having this conversation, Gray. I don't know how many talks we've had. How many times have we had these conversations and never even brought up X-Men? That's just criminal.
I know.
X-Men is so dead as a franchise from a comic book standpoint. Like I cannot understand this concept of the direction they've taken that entire part of their franchise. So you factor in just law of numbers, like how many comic book readers are still with us. They're probably
Yeah.
just like us. They're reading like 6 things, maybe. A lot of stuff is digital now. So they're like, listen, I'm not going to spend my hard earned money on $3 to $5 cover prices or more until I know it's really good. Then I'll buy stuff, things like that.
Mm.
And like me, I'm still chasing after things that I missed out on, like a King of Spies. I just finally got my hands on a physical copy because I did not want to read it digitally. I wanted to read a physical copy of Last Ronin, the Turtles.
Oh,
Again,
awesome.
one of the best books the last 10 years, right? So it's just one of these great stories. So just loved it. Just loved everything about
Is
it.
it as good, Pops? Is it as good as everyone's made it out to be? Because I'm very curious to get hold of a copy myself.
Well, I hate that element of the pumping it up sort of thing because it only sets people up for disappointment.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I will say this: I especially issue number 1 and then into the elements. I really love the fact that it felt like the fan service that we got from like a Top Gun Maverick or even the new Mario movies. Like they really get what we want.
Oh,
You
nice.
feel connected to the old stuff and with a new story. I just really, really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did because I was like you. I was like, wow, is it really? Can it be that good? Well, maybe not that good. I don't know. Depends on your perspective, but I had a good time with it for sure.
That's good. Good to hear. Because as I say, yeah, I've heard great things. And can I just double check with that? Because I'm not that clued up on the story. Is it written by the original creators? And
Hmm.
do they do the art or not?
I wouldn't want to speak out of turn, so I'm going to pull that up real quick and make sure
Okay, no
I
problem.
know.
Because I think is it based on? It's definitely based on an original story idea they had,
Correct.
isn't it? Yeah, Eastman
Yes.
and Laird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
They.
the biggest turtle fan, so sorry to like put you on the spot like that. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. Well, I know they definitely wrote the story. I just don't know that I want to give them 100% credit without diving just a little bit deeper, just to make sure that I don't
Sure.
misspeak on it. And I'll say the one thing they did too when they were doing some flashback stuff on it, they they definitely used that old black and white style they did from back in the day,
Oh, nice. That sounds good.
which is beautiful. And I'll say
Yeah.
this: they do list. And again, I didn't. I read a hardcover trade paperback, so I'm not 100% sure on the creative team. Their names are listed first and foremost, Eastman and Laird. But then there's like 4 names. So I assume the other names that are on the book are more involved with the art on that book.
Right.
Yeah, and they wrote the story, and it fits. And it's funny too because in some ways it can come across or feel very much like it could be woke, but to me it's not when it works. Like it makes sense in their universe. There are moments that you're kind of like, and I think this is the problem. People have like PTSD when it comes to the sensitivity of our culture war that we're in the middle of. I liked it a
This
lot.
is true. This is
I,
true.
I have not dove into the new volume. There's a brand new Last Ronin sequel that's out. I have not read a single
Right.
issue of it yet. Thought I'd wait
No.
until it's a little bit further. If I'm behind like that, I usually try to wait till at least I'm 3 issues along and then try to get a chunk of story. So it's not just like a flash in the pan response.
I haven't read it either. All I know is that it's top 10 in the monthly sales list. So obviously there's a big audience for that. There are people who want that. Probably a lot of that to do with the success of The Last Ronin.
No, I 100% agree. And that was definitely why whenever I even remotely saw it, it jumped right out at me like, oh, look at what they've done. You know what I mean? It kind of make me,
Yeah.
hyper aware that that was the thing. So,
Just to go back to that point you just made about finding woke things, and yeah, this is a great point, Pops. It's almost like I think we've gone too far the other way. You can look back at good TV, good movies. I've been watching things from even the 90s, not that long ago, even 2000s, and there are things in that where people would be screaming out saying, "Oh, look at this! It's empowered females, and it's like denigrating the males. It's so woke." It's like, no, it isn't. You're looking too much. You're seeing it in everything. Do you think we've become like too far on like erring in the what's the right word to say, where we're so bombarded by everything is woke that we're seeing it where it isn't even there, if that makes sense.
yeah, I can definitely point fingers at myself here. I had watched, this was
Me
back when I
too.
first jumped into the Hops thing. I didn't do review on it or anything like that. I was watching Alien vs. Predator, and
Okay.
it was reeking of like strong woman cliches, and it
Yeah.
doesn't really work in the film. The film doesn't really work that well for a lot of reasons, but that was one of them. Like this kind of mousy woman somehow accidentally survives into situations. And I just,
Sounds familiar.
yeah. And I just was like, okay, I have some serious issues because clearly this film is not that. They were trying to do what Ridley Scott had done. They tried to do what James Cameron had done.
Exactly.
And they were just missing the mark.
They just weren't good enough.
Because I just didn't think the script was good, right? So it's not about being woke. It was about just, you know. So I think the biggest thing for me is defining it more of like, you know, are we really seeing something that is driven by, you know, neo-feminist agenda? Are we seeing, you know, purpose denigration of a male character, or are we seeing like the Mary Sue plot armor stuff of the female? She can't be the butt of her own joke. So She-Hulk is probably the best example, where She-Hulk is like, you know, she's insulated from any criticism. She's this nasty, arrogant, treats women. Everything is flipped on his head. But when you watch Ally McBeal, that's, even though it's very derived from Ally McBeal, it has a completely different tone with Ally McBeal. She's very correct. She's very feminine, and she's also sort of, I don't want to say mousy, because she's trying to be stronger and stronger and stronger. With She-Hulk, there was no journey, there was no path. So if I had to try to create a very simple mirror, that would probably be one of the examples that pops in my mind.
I've got one as well, Pops, just briefly. I don't know what it was, but something sent me back to watch the very first episode, the pilot episode of the original Lois and Clark, you know, with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. And it's great fun, but she would now be called, you know, a Mary Sue or woke, or it's not about that. You know, she's a strong woman, she's funny, she's like taking the Mickey out of Clark and some of the other men in the office, but also she shows like vulnerability. They show both sides. That's the difference now, isn't it? They focus on like, oh, this woman's perfect, she can do no wrong, and all the men are just like, you know, but not going to swear, sorry, just screw ups. They're all screw ups.
Well, and again, not to defend the show, but it's clearly called Lois and Clark. Her name is first, so you really should kind of back up a little bit on your expectation of something like that. Now, let's compare that very much so to the new Batman trailer. I mean, Flash trailer.
Oh,
that is
the Batman trailer. Yeah, you're right there.
In the Batman trailer, there's like he the main character takes a back seat to everyone else. Like Batman's narrating. And there's this scene where they head into battle, where the Flashes burst into action, but front and center is the gender-swapped female Supergirl in the middle. It's like, that's what we're talking about. Like, see, it's like everything out of proportion. And maybe it is like, it's one of these things where you can't always put your finger on it. And maybe it is. And I will say, look, I'd read a book, like him or not, I thought it was an interesting behind-the-scenes look at television. Ben Shapiro wrote a primetime television book where he kind of pretended to be one of them and went around and interviewed all these TV people. And he wrote this book about their hidden agendas. He was like a kid. He was like, I think he's in his late teens, early 20s, and right out of college or something. And I read this book, and it was very eye-opening of some of the agenda. And they really are very self-aware of how they can shift and change culture. One of the examples in the book, which I think is something you and I can relate to, is how much they were able to accomplish with like the Jeffersons and All in the Family and Good Times and these shows that were big deals when we were young, where they were really threading the needle of shifting us towards tolerance of interracial relationships and bigotry and trying to shame people who would treat people badly, these kinds of things. And again, I'm not trying to make a moral judgment. I'm trying to say they're very self-aware of what they're trying to accomplish. The difference today is that moral compass to me has become mean and cruel and nasty. It's like they're not trying to shift culture for us to be tolerant and nice to one another. They're trying to denigrate the people that don't see things the way they see things.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a really good point. Yeah, it's completely changed the tone, the approach, the whole approach has changed. Oh wow! I can't even remember how we got here, but yeah, that was a great little. What's the word? Going off on a tangent.
You wound me up and got me on one of my diatribes. So there you go, folks. Sorry about that.
That was all good. That was all good. But yeah, let's bring it back to the comics. So going back to the Mark Millar story, Pops. One thing is very clear. You know, he's so successful. He doesn't need to make comics anymore. You know, he can probably retire on what he's got, what he's worth. He's got landed a huge Netflix deal. His IPs, a lot of them are going to become Netflix series. So why has he suddenly found himself bringing out? I'll listen now. He's got Nemesis Reloaded. He's got Nightclub. He has, of course, the Ambassadors. He's got the Magic Order, and he's got a huge, a crossover event coming out in July, which I've just forgotten the name of, but I will check that in a sec. So he's just pumping out content at the moment.
Well, so listen, the thing is, you feel like you're watching someone who is, a passion project individual. You're looking at someone who just loves what he's doing. I think this is what we would ask him. He was like, you've gotten to the point now where you've got your own company, you're cranking out your own stuff, you've made the right connections. I think that, we've heard Todd McFarlane kind of get to this point too. And it's kind of like, okay, now what drives you? And a lot of what drives them is just the joy of doing it. I think with McFarlane, when he derailed the company into the toy manufacturing, the comics did suffer quite a bit, and the sales show that. But I don't think he has a lot of regrets, because I think every step along the way, you learn different things, you become more savvy. Certain successes and failures bring you different levels of happiness and joy through those trials. And I think we're seeing some of that through what Mark Millar is doing, experimenting with some of that, because it's just different now. Whereas McFarlane was toys, Millar is definitely part of streaming. I think you're muted, Matt McGray.
I'm just trying to look up at the moment, because it's something I saw earlier on today, and I meant to pull this up. It's the July solicitations have come out for all the different companies, and I've got notes, but they're in my book over there, Pops. I wanted to bring it up. I think it's called Big Change off the top of my head. This is Image. Let me just see if I can find this. I'll be 1 second. Solicitations. But the idea that he's going to pull not just his recent works, but he's going to have Kick-Ass character in there, Hitman characters. It's all going to come together in a huge 6-issue, again limited 6-issue series, and it just sounds exciting. But I'm just delighted to see someone who wants to write for the love of writing, for the love of bringing out comic books. And if you watch his videos, Pops, on his, as I mentioned before, his YouTube channel, Millar Time, he's interviewing some wonderful artists and creators, writers, and he's just so enthusiastic. He's so genki. I love to use that word. He just loves to talk about comics.
Well, like I said, I've got to spend more time doing that and checking that out, because that's the kind of stuff you have to have, that healthy dose of the positive to kind of get you through when you're when you're frustrated, things that are not going the way you want. And for someone like this, if he's this exuberant about what he's doing, he's finding so much happiness and joy, why would we not want to lock arms and go on this joyride with him? Why beat ourselves up with the things that are subpar? And it's no irony, we're 30 years later from the Image boom, which basically caused Marvel and DC to shift, and maybe it's just they just haven't caught up yet. No one's shaken their tree yet, because this is what there's a great documentary on Tubi called The Image Revolution, and it talks about the company. There's a great line from Rob Liefeld where he says, "We broke Batman's back. We killed Superman." Yeah. And I thought to myself, you know what? Yeah, you did. You're putting it on its head. I'm like, you're right, because when all of them left, they were godsmacked. Man, those companies did not know what to think. And I think we're in the middle of this too, where if the Image comics started selling more, people got more demanding in their local comic shops. I need you to order these. I need you to order these. They started ordering more on Amazon. They started to really kind of plug into that. DC and Marvel will eventually figure it out. They just will. Just money matters. Someone will figure it out. So.
Okay, I've got it here, Pops. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Not Big Change. It's close. It's called Big Game. Just let me quickly share my screen. And it's basically just a picture of the cover. So there's not that much information about it. And if you check on, like League of Comic Book Geeks or somewhere, they won't even show any of the covers or the cover art. They're keeping it secret because, he's hinted there's going to be all different characters in it. But here we go. Big Game comes out. The first issue comes out 19th of July, and it's Mark Millar and Pepe Larraz with the first issue. Now, I don't know if he's going to keep the same artists. Hopefully he will, because I got what you were saying before about different artists. It might be good just for a one-off, but it's good to have a consistent tone, a consistent look to one book, isn't it?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I that's probably the biggest apprehension I would have with the Ambassadors. It's just that if it's not cohesive and doesn't kind of have a design feel that kind of works from issue to issue, then it just kind of I tend to kind of check out of that. That's one of my biggest complaints with some of this other stuff is, I think we mentioned Jorge Jimenez earlier. It's like we're cruising along with Batman. I didn't really like how the ending of the little mini series was working, and then suddenly Jimenez is gone, and they bring in basically one of what I always joke about the Berkeley art students. It's all this pastels, the design, everything is off. Everything was just completely gone. The primary colors are gone. And I'm not trying to say that's what Millar has done with Ambassadors or even other projects, but I think there's something beautiful when you have a nice, solid, cohesive piece of art, and comic books tends to do that, especially in a self-contained limited series.
Oh no, I think you're right. Absolutely. Going back to the Batman, it's a change in artist. I wonder if it's the colouring, because I've heard quite a lot of criticism recently of digital colouring and how it just doesn't work well. It doesn't support really good pencil and inking. Now the artist on Batman now is Mike Hawthorne, and I'm not that keen on his style, Pops, but I get what you're saying. It's got a look, hasn't it? It's got like an atmosphere, a weird pastel coloured, maybe Elseworlds kind of multiverse atmosphere to it. Is that what they're going for?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, and I only would disagree with that assessment of the digital art because we were enjoying Batman like 125 through 130. It's like whenever the story ended is when we were like, then we started complaining. No offense to Mike Hawthorne, it's also your colorist. Fair enough, but like I did a review on the Doctor Strange comic, and it was just all purples and pinks and light blues, and just like, oh, is there any? There's no shadows, there's no depth, there's no real dark elements, and then when they do it, it's just so abrupt. It doesn't work in the flow of the story, and I don't know. There's something different, and this is where I think, like circling back to things we've talked about with Spawn, why like Booth and Fernandez are just hitting home runs because there's just so much interesting dynamic elements. And I went back and read. I don't know if I told you this one. I went back and read like old Sam and Twitch.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah, I did, because I do a series on my Comic Talk where I do Why Is It Great, where you try to find like a single standalone issue, something that's also reasonably priced that you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that for Sam and Twitch #9, and I said, well, I should just reread the whole series up to that point. And I have to be honest, one of the things that got me was how cool the style was. I mean, Bendis' story was fine. It got a little long-winded, but it was okay. But the art was just so interesting with how they approach things and how they would communicate different sequences and things like that. And I'm like, man, a book like this is not something that I've seen readily in the last year or so, for sure. That's for sure. So, yeah, Sam and Twitch references. Didn't think you were going to get that today, did you?
No, well, that's one, not just the only, but one of the reasons I've really been enjoying, and I've stuck with King Spawn out of the four Spawn titles. It's Gunslinger and King, which I'm still reading at the moment. And King Spawn has brought them in recently, hasn't it, over the last few issues? So, but I don't know much about them apart from just checking on Wikipedia to see, okay, they're two detectives. It's kind of like a good guy, bad guy, or the good cop, bad cops, that kind of thing. But
it's fantastic.
They look very interesting. So you recommend that, do you? The first 10 issues of Bendis?
Got to go back to the original Bendis' stuff. It's issues 1 through 8. It's a standalone story in 8 issues, and they're on this weird crime thing. It seems like it adapts perfectly for like a true detective type show. I did my videos on it. I have my issues, of course. I have my little pokes and jabs of things I think are wrong with it and some misses, but it was really, really, really done well. It makes you really enjoy the characters. Completely flawed and messed up characters. Beautiful. But issue 9 was kind of a fun little story because it's called One Bad Day, and they're barely in it. They're not really in it very much, but it's just like it's meant to be from our perspective, the reader's perspective. Like you can put yourself in the shoes of this character who basically just goes through a series of just ridiculous things that happen and basically just ruins. I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, let's just say it ends badly.
And then, Pops, how's the art on those issues? Is it good?
That's what I'm saying. Very interesting and dynamic.
Okay.
And I use words that probably aren't good for younger folks. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I'm using words like stylish, right? So it's got a very stylish approach. The way they do the dialogue is interesting because they don't use bubbles and they don't use boxes. They just have dialogue and like little scribbles that got who it goes to. The way they frame some panels are just very unorthodox. I found all of that very refreshing. So, yeah.
Nice one. Yeah, I appreciate the recommendation. And can I ask you about the Spawn titles now we're talking about them? Are you reading all four, or are you like me, just focusing on Gunslinger and King Spawn?
Well, I'm way behind you. So that's the first problem. I've been on Gunslinger and King Spawn. I've caught up now to the point where Scorched is kind of on the table, but I have not actually read Scorched yet. And I did not keep up with the regular Spawn title, so it's only really Gunslinger and Spawn King. But I'm way behind you guys. Like I'm a year behind. I think we're on like 19 or 20 now. Is that what we're on issues?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm
right.
still back. Yeah, I'm way behind. I'm way behind, which is fine. I mean, I came in late. I know I'm behind. I'm really soaking it up, folks. For those of you who can be critical, I'm enjoying 2 or 3 issues at a time. Do a video, really chew on it, enjoy it. It allows me the freedom to just spoil the heck out of the thing and talk about what I like or don't like. I don't have to worry about someone being mad at me because they haven't read it yet or something. So, yeah, no, it is definitely the top tier of the things that I'm enjoying the most.
Good. No, I'm really glad to hear that because sometimes I'm often told that you're very positive or you only pick things that you like or good things. But at one point I was kind of worrying that am I losing my taste or something, because I am really enjoying both King Spawn, Gunslinger, even the main Spawn title for quite a while. But then I was thinking, I wasn't seeing that much coverage of it. It wasn't getting reviewed on some of the comic book sites, and I was thinking, is it just me? Maybe so. Hopefully not, Pops. If you're enjoying it, I'm really, really happy to hear that. I've not completely lost my taste.
Well, and I think that we see different overlaps of what people like and don't like.
Sure.
I think you came in pretty hard on like Amazing Spider-Man. It kind of got me to give it a go, and I really did like a lot of it. But even I think when we pointed out things that I was like I'm more hung up on, you were like, yeah, that's terrible. But you weren't like as hung up on it as I was. You were like willing to admit it, but you were like letting them have a few more warts and pimples than I was. So for
more
me,
forgiving maybe.
yeah, that's definitely you're definitely a more forgiving critic than me. I get completely derailed by certain things. For instance, like the new Superman run, the Joshua Williamson run. People really enjoyed
goodness,
it.
Pops. What happened to issue 3? Because I thought it had a great opening in the first one and second issue, but issue 3, I just thought it's not terrible, but it was fundamental storytelling mistakes, in my opinion. I've not reviewed it though.
So I hated it. Issue 2, out of the blue, Marilyn Moonlight comes out of nowhere to just save Superman.
Oh, that ending was bizarre. Yeah, I didn't get that.
It wasn't the ending. It's before the ending. Like it's almost like the kind of like 70% of the way.
Just pops
Marilyn
in for a minute.
Moonlight just pops in.
Hi,
and
I'm
powers
Marilyn
him up.
Moonlight.
She powers him up, and then she leaves, and then Superman goes on with the story, and you're like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, I don't understand what you people are doing. And then in issue 3, I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm along for the ride to keep reading, but it's so tedious and it's just drawn out, and it's like, I don't know. It dipped tremendously in issue 3 for me because of 2 as well. Like it's not bad. It still feels like Superman, and it doesn't feel like they've betrayed characters and who they are. I like Luthor. I like even Parasite and Livewire and some of the stuff they're doing. I enjoy this new group of villains that they're putting together. It's just like we didn't get back to them though, so it's kind of like just kind of hanging out there. But that's graphic novel syndrome. Graphic novel syndrome, folks, is they will purposely write for 6 to 8 issues so they can sell a graphic novel, and you're stuck with like filler and wasted time, wasted pages. Yeah, and that's definitely part of the problem with some of these modern comics as well.
I've been hearing that criticism a lot these days, Pops, and yeah, it's something that I think maybe I'm becoming more aware of, but it's a problem that we didn't used to have in the old days, does it? We think there weren't graphic novels really, or graphic novels were written standalone on their own, outside of the main comic book continuum, weren't they?
Yeah, I think it was around the time they spun off and did like the new X-Men, and it was like Grant Morrison had some time on it and whatever, and then you ended up having these runs of stories, and you're like, why did I have this issue? Why did I have that issue? And you started I become self-aware that a lot of fluff was being added so they could sell a graphic novel. So yeah, that's definitely a problem, and I feel like that is definitely the case. And actually we didn't really get too much into what I've been reading, but I definitely gave Predator a go. I think I told you I was going to. And I really love the art when they're doing Predator. Like when Predator's cutting up a human, splattering blood everywhere. It delivers, right? So if you're a Predator fan, issue number 1 gives you that. The problem is the story's pretty dumb. And then in issue number 2, we stopped drawing about Predator killing everybody. We started having like 3 pages of them talking, 3 pages of them walking or whatever. And I'm like, I could care absolutely less about all of this.
That's a modern problem in modern comics, isn't it? Too much talking and not enough action.
And I should pull up this cover for anyone who hasn't seen it so you can understand my world. Imagine my face. Gray knows me enough to understand what my brain would have been like. I had to do a review like literally that moment. I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me. Like, I cannot believe.
What did they do, Pops?
This is their cover. And you're like, what? And I was like, okay, so I had said nice things about issue number 1. I didn't, and I like the art. I thought the Predator part was fine.
Yeah.
And then when I see issue number 2 and I see the cover, I was like, what am I?
Let me add this to the stream.
What am I looking at? Yeah, it's Girl Boss holding up Predator head with weird little alpha beta black guy at her foot. And this moment never happens in the comic book.
No way. What a surprise, Pops.
Yeah, so I didn't go back to look at the end of issue number 1 to see if I kind of missed her winning. I think she does win, and that was why she ends up with this suit. And but it's total Girl Boss nonsense. And like I said, the biggest thing is we're wasting 2 or 3 pages with them just sitting around and talking and walking and nothing ever happening. And I gave a lot of leeway with issue 1 because you're setting up a lot of story and things like that. And you did so well when you were actually having these big battle scenes and stuff. But overall, I was like so disappointed. Like this is just
what a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who the writer was with that Predator? Because I think I read the first issue and I was the same as you. My reaction was kind of like, well, when the Predator are in it, it's quite interesting. It's quite good, but there was too much focus on the I want to say
the expendable crewmen that are in the humans that are in this Predator show.
That's
that we
it.
Don't care. Yeah. Ed Brisson, is that how you say it? As Brisson?
Ed Brisson, thanks. That's it. I couldn't remember. Yeah. There you go.
And the irony is the first 2 issues set up Girl Boss to survive, but they don't do it right. Girl Boss survives by doing what Arnold Schwarzenegger did in the first movie, abandoning all of the tech, using her wits, being smart and interesting, and letting everyone else be lambs to slaughter. Nope. That's not the direction they're going. And it's terrible.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the biggest disappointments I've had over the last week or so was the Predator book. I tried to get Planet. I was gonna say I tried to get Planet of the Apes to go as well, and just it was like similar thing. It's just like a lot of talk and time jumping.
No, Pops, that was such a disappointment for me because I was hoping they were going to go back to the the original movie or even the many 70s set movies, that style. But no, they had to bring in COVID. They had to bring in that. They had to set it in modern times. They had to put it between some of them. Was it set between some of the modern movies? Isn't it? I was like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, it definitely centers around the modern films, and it's just there's so many time jumps in it. It just makes it. I mean, they get certain panels and certain scenes are amazing, and then by the way, we're just going to talk for 3 more pages, and then we'll have a time jump, and you're like, I just got attached to that time. What are we jumping for? Yeah, I couldn't believe how bad it was. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I'm not surprised anymore, but reality was I was disappointed.
Okay, there's a couple of things I wanted to share with you and talk about, and one we talked briefly in the Twitter chat about this, Pops. I wanted to show a little bit of the brand new issue of Green Arrow #1, written by Joshua Williamson, and it's got art by Sean Isaacs. I think that's how you say his name. Just let me share the screen, and don't worry, there'll be no spoilers. I just want to show first of all the cover. Where are we? Here we go. But do you have any interest in the character?
Oh, I'm a massive Green Arrow reader from back in the day. I stopped. I mean, I haven't really read much Green Arrow over the last several years. I actually did a review on this. I just haven't dropped it yet.
Okay, good. You've read it then, yeah? Nice.
Yeah, I didn't get it done in time for my Comic Book Wednesday. So now I don't really have a spot for it. So I may drop it tomorrow just because I already have it done.
Well, don't spoil your review, but can I just ask you for very brief general thoughts?
Again, I was a major Longbow Hunters, Mike Grell, Green Arrow reader.
Yeah.
Read some more recent stuff, like kind of like Brightest Day, and in through some of the New 52 stuff, things like that. Kevin Smith's run.
Yeah.
Um, the Green Arrow family stuff has gotten a little too convoluted for me, but I want to give them credit for at least trying to catch everybody up with these like pages like this, where you're trying to get little nuggets and pieces of what what's been going on, so we all understand how they're going to essentially, I guess, reboot and move forward.
This is perfect for me, Potts, just to interject, because I am a brand new reader to the character. I'm aware of the character, of course, but I've never read any of his, solo books. So this was a lovely kind of very brief recap, and they do quite well, don't they? They bring in some of the extended family. There's Team Arrow members as well, so it was perfect. So I don't know how someone like you would felt about that, because you know them already.
Well, I didn't know some of the intricacies because they've changed things so dramatically.
Okay.
So as I say in my review, I get into my thoughts and reactions on like the characters' designs and how they hold themselves and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of the one thing I think that fans will be divided on, because they kind of jump around a little bit, but they do kind of have a good moment, even though it's a little silly and almost flashy of, okay, here's Roy and here's Connor, and but they also give us a panel that kind of lets us know a little bit of the history too. So it's not just totally like out of left field. We're kind of brought up to speed. But I will say, I had a good time. I'm on for number 2.
Me too.
I did have some criticisms. But I didn't necessarily hate it as I will say I'm a little confused, and I have this like that gnawing New 52 feeling all over again. It's like, do you guys have a longer term plan, or is this more like just knee jerk rebooting stuff again? Like, I just don't have it in me to be.
I hate to say that, but probably, Pops. It was meant to be a 6-issue limited, but I've heard some good news. They've extended it to 12, allegedly, supposedly.
Yeah, there's a lot of these that are happening, so it's been good places to kind of jump in, catch myself up on different writers and different artists. I was sort of surprised to see Joshua Williamson's name. Like, no man, he's doing something else.
Too.
Okay, like
Me
I would think Superman would be enough, but all right, we're going to do this too. Yeah, no, I think this is a great entryway for people who are not too familiar with Green Arrow. It kind of gives you a little bit. Like I said, until we know. Well, first off, I hate the PG-13 thing. I can't stand. We're going to make this is your mainstream stuff that's supposed to be marketed. Spawn can do stuff, and there are comic books that are at least intense enough that aren't like got these little things. And just because they want to drop 1 or 2 curse words, not because it's graphic violently. Oh, they just got to have a couple curse words. People behave terrible. I just don't understand that marketing part of it all. Like, if you want to have. If you want to have Spawn be PG-13 because you're going to rip humans in half, that makes sense to me. But if you just want to have a girl just drop an F-bomb and you bleep out this, and I don't get it.
No.
Where we're going with the whole, Oliver and how it all connects and circles back is very similar to my thoughts on the Batman stuff. I'm not sure I'm in on all that. So that is definitely some hesitation that I'm there. I'm like, oh, I don't know, though. It's how I feel with some of that. So, yeah.
Did you like the art, by the way? What do you think of Sean Isaac's art on this?
At times, I like the art, and rather than criticism of the art, I really don't understand Connor's design. Like, I'm really having a hard time understanding Connor's design. But there's some art I think that's inconsistent. Like, there's a couple of frames of Dinah I thought were not. Like, she doesn't look right. Like, her face is not the same shape or length, and so there's some things like that. And I don't know. I don't know enough about the character that they introduced to know.
No,
I don't know enough to be really critical one way or the other.
I won't show any more.
Connor's design
to spoil it, so I'll stop.
Yeah, Connor's design. And see at the bottom of that page is what I was saying. They here's Roy. Here's what he looks like. There's a little flashback, little Easter egg for you to get in the origin and the callbacks, and I get all that. So yeah, no, it's fine. It was a fine read. It was okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, for me, as I said in sorry, for me, as I said in my review, I was very, very pleasantly surprised, but I'd heard good things from some people who'd got like a preview copy and they'd seen it. So it was like, yeah, it's a great chance for me to kind of jump in. Let's give this character a chance. I've always liked his design. I just like the look of him, Oliver Queen, and I don't know why they didn't use that in the TV adaptation parts. Why didn't they have the blonde head and the blonde beard? You know, what do they call it? Is it the Van Dyke beard, the classic Green Arrow look? No, they had to go for the very short hair and, you know, stubbly face.
And the irony was, it would have been kind of fun to see him grow out the Van Dyke, you know what I mean? Grow it all out and kind of evolve into a mature Oliver Queen that we all kind of know and associate with, like, the Justice League type Green Arrow. Instead, you know, the show easily could have been a prototype to have the character, but from what we know, they never had a desire to bring in those TV actors into the big screen, which is criminal because they were hitting the mark in so many ways with some of that, and they should have just used it as a launching pad to give them movies. But yeah, can't undo bad decisions at WB. They got a long track record of that, that's for sure.
Tell me about it. Okay, that's great. Good to get your take on that, and look forward to your review when it gets uploaded. There's one more thing, if it's okay, Pop. So not really exclusive, but are you interested in having a look at the new, you won't believe this already, a new #1 Alien issue, which came out. They changed the writer, they changed the artist, and they brought it out as #1 again. What do you think? Do you want to have a look, or are you okay?
I mean, yeah, well, I'll ride along with you, but I don't, I mean, you know what, in some ways, yes, because, I mean, obviously Planet of the Apes was a disaster, so maybe it's like, well, let me give Alien another go, but it's like, I'm so over the multiple volumes and rebooting and numbering thing, because it's just a gimmick to sell a bunch of variant covers, and then the covers have these beautiful art styles and designs, and you open it up and it doesn't match, so I'm disappointed.
Not at all. Yeah.
So I just, right now, I just sort of very ho-hum. We talked about this, I think, before, and it was like, look, I spend most of my time looking at Image stuff, some of the indie stuff, the Comicsgate stuff, and then maybe some DC, and then mostly because Dawn of DC at least has done some good things from time to time. I'm willing to give that a little leeway because everything that's Marvel, I'm just like they can't get out of their own way. I don't know what to say or do. I can't even tell you last time I picked up an X title. I can't tell you why. Why would I want to read Punisher when you changed him? He's not Punisher anymore. He's just some other thing. I don't
even
have
Daredevil,
desire.
which is getting a lot of great. Go on, sorry.
No, I think you're right. I was going to try to throw it to you for Daredevil. So you're the only one out there trying to at least tout something that I should read.
I know. But even that's been hit and miss, Pops. It's up and down. You know, there are some people don't like it, but I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it's hard to think of it, you know, 3 essential Marvel titles that you can say these are must-buys every month. And if you put that into consideration that they're bringing out so many titles even now, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Going back to the X-Book point you were making, that's another example. You know, I couldn't even list them, but I reckon that they must be into double figures of different X-Men related titles that are out, and there's hardly any talk about it anymore, is there? Do you hear any hype for X-Men?
No, it's sort of dead. You know, all we hear about is Hellfire Gala. We see photos and images that are just insane. We see Marvel executives self-inserted in crazy conversations, and then we see weird overflow stuff. Like, I think this is one of the Spider-Man issues. Like, was it 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever? And then suddenly it crosses over to X-Men, and I would have to have done some homework to realize the connection there to keep up with what Spider-Man was doing, because none of this was footnoted. It's just I have to know all that. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand how we've derailed so much. I had someone who was asking about Wolverine, for instance, and I said, you know, we went through this phase where they decided they were going to kill off Wolverine because Fox owned it, and they were trying to, that was like their stronghold backlanded attack of hurting fans, and they made the Sun really was the Dark Wolverine, and they have to bring it all back, and it's like, I almost feel like an insane person trying to explain things. It's just easier to go, well, there's a series that started in 1988. Why don't we just go read that?
That's it. There you go. You can't go wrong with that. Okay, I'll briefly share a screen here. This is not this week's Comics Pops. This is from last week. Just give you an idea. So this was dated 19th of April. And we have X-Force 39. Nightcrawlers, number 3. Extreme X-Men, number 5. This is just 1 week. New Mutants, Lethal Legion, number 2. Bishop, War College, that's X-Men, isn't it? Number 3. How about, I'm not sure about Warlock. He's not X-Men, is it? No. And Excellent at the bottom here. Excellent, issue 2. I've already lost count. That's like, is that 6, 5 or 6? Just 1 week. And apart from the main X-Men title and a little bit of the Sins of Sinister tie-ins, which is that Nightcrawlers book, I don't hear anything about it anymore.
So it seems like the 90s all over again financially. Like you're making too much content that's not generating sales. So what are you doing and why are you doing it? And if you're just you're padding sales, everyone knows you're padding sales with variant covers, because reality is you're paying someone a couple grand or whatever it is for a beautiful cover art that has nothing to do with the book, and people are wanting to buy those, so it's padding your sales. And this is your business plan right now. This is complete crap, and I feel bad for people, because we are overpaying for some covers. We are overpaying for a few things here and there, because I don't know that any of this has a shelf life for what this will look like. And and the irony is, Gray, when things do blow up or something that actually floats to the top, let's say 10 years from now, some of this crap's going to be worth a fortune because there's no copies. There's like 15,000 copies of something, or 20,000. They're so rare that you won't be able to find any. But who knows? You got to sift through this sea of just muck to find anything remotely tolerable. I don't even recognize half the characters anymore. I forget what.
I'm the same, Pops. I'm the same.
I don't even know what X-Men book I was trying to read, and I didn't understand who half the characters were. They're like, this is not the X-Men that I know. I just didn't know any of these characters. Everyone's been changed. There's all these like offspring and different derivations and stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say about that.
Well, let's look at this. Listen to this. This is the copy for the cover, like the synopsis for issue 21, which, by the way, it's been relaunched. So I don't know what the proper issue is since it was relaunched the first time. But anyway, forget about that. It's been written by Jerry Duggan at the moment, and it says, Lord of the Brood, Part 3. Why have the Brood gone mad? Which of the X-Men's past deeds is coming back to haunt them? And are bloodthirsty alien monsters even the biggest threat the team is currently facing? All these answers and more will be revealed, featuring a connecting cover to Captain Marvel 48. That sums it up, the final line there. A connecting cover. They can't sell it without, some kind of, I don't know. Just have a quick look at the reviews. Now you've got 4-star, 2-star, 3, 3, 3. So pretty positive. 2-star, 3-star. Yeah. I don't know what that means though. But as you were saying, Pops, I don't know the characters. I don't know them anymore.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't have space. I have more demand for people asking me to read some of the old stuff to help guide them. So I basically just started working, and you know how streaming is for us old guys. I obviously blundered or did something wrong, so I've got to start over again, doing a 30th anniversary. It's the 30th anniversary of Fatal Attractions, my friend.
Oh my goodness, really?
I know. It was done to be the 30th anniversary of X-Men. It's been 30 years. And when I was researching that, I realized it's the 30th anniversary of Nightfall, the 30th anniversary of Maximum Carnage. So people want to hear about that. People want to hear about those. They want to hear about, I got a request yesterday from my great mod and channel member, Chris Persia, who asked me to do Pit, the Image comic. Like, do something on the first few issues of Pit and show everybody why it's amazing. Basically, he loves it. I think he's just trying to make sure I share it with other people, because I was asking about, like, I did like a quick little thing on the first appearance of Crow. I've done stuff like that, and I'm like, what else do you guys want me to talk about? You want me to do something like that on something obscure like the first Ninja Turtles? You want me to get into like the Tick, Evil Ernie or something like that? So yeah, they want to know about stuff like that. People are not asking for, hey, listen, are you read these X-Men? Can you catch me up on what's going on with X-Men? People are like, no, what's going on with the 1990s ones? Which one should I buy? Which of the uncanny ones should I buy? That's the stuff people talk about. That no one in my circles, and maybe that's just me. Maybe it's a reflection of me and my interests, because I try to dabble with the newer stuff and it just can't connect with me. So, but we're told that. We're told it's not for me. I'm told that all the time.
I know, and I think that's why a lot of long-term fans have just like walked away and gone to, like you were saying, either just gone to indie, gone to the independent scene, like the Comics Gate as it's called scene, or even just dropped comics altogether and gone to manga.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by any of the decisions right now, for sure.
It's a shame, Potts, because we're like you. I love comics. I love American comic books. You know, it's the thing. One of the things I've loved since I was a kid. So, but anyway, to finish on a positive note, maybe let's have a look at this new issue of Alien. And I haven't even looked at it yet, Pops. So I'm going into this live and raw.
First reaction. Let's do it.
Initial reaction.
Actually, I think I did that with the Green Arrow, or did I do it with something else? I did like literally just a live reaction of me reacting. Did you? I think one of them's like that, and maybe even Superman 3. I think I was finishing Superman 2 and Superman 3 dropped, and I was like, oh, so I think my reaction is quite literal, meaning reacting. So,
is that showing up okay for you? Can you see? It's not exactly an inspirational cover.
Yeah, a very unimpressive Alien cover. Who basically that's their number one selling point is the cool covers. But okay, let's go on.
The last miniseries that Philip Kennedy Johnson was writing, which wasn't too bad. They had some incredible covers, but as you say, when you opened the actual book, it was like, oh, okay, a completely different art style inside, of course. So Declan Shelby, I don't really know him. I know his name. Andrea Brocado on art. Let's go down. Let's have a look. So get an idea of the style. So we open at least with some aliens. We see some. Let's see how long it takes before we get humans talking.
Pastel. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, is that the color again, Pops? Or
no, it's okay. This is fine, but I'm going to expect this to be contrasted with pink, purple, and light blue.
Right.
What I expect.
When the people come into it. Here we go.
Not yet. This kind of feels like the movie The Thing. I feel like I'm in The Thing. That's good. I like this.
I'm not sure about the style. It's a little bit manga-esque on the girl's face there. What do you think?
I agree with that. No. Her eyes are a little odd, a little off. But I do feel like I'm on like a, Kurt Russell Thing expedition, and they're going to stumble across the alien creature, the xenomorph. That'd be good. I'm fine with all that so far.
They're digging down into the ice. Will they find Kurt Russell, or is it Jim Morrison? Because Kurt Russell was playing Jim Morrison in the Thing movie, I think, wasn't he? Here we go. Let's see. Okay, we have a face hugger buried, frozen in the ice.
Her face design is terrible. Look at that top right panel. What kind of expression is she making right there? I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Idea.
It's not consistent with the panel at the bottom. Her face is they don't quite know if they want to go anime or not with her face.
They've got the big eyes, haven't they? The eyes seem to be getting bigger on each of the pictures. Yeah, so that's the anime manga style there. Okay, then we get the traditional text box. 2 pages of just text. Okay. Oh, another female character.
And we haven't had aliens for like 5 or 6 pages. Just so we're clear.
No.
We had the what's the little spider guy? What's the creature's name? I forget what they. Yeah,
I forget what they're called as well. I just call them the face huggers.
And
look! Not only is it a female character, it's she's pregnant because she's saying here, considering my current condition. Okay, there we go. Let's see what's next. So again, no aliens, Pops.
No, we're just setting up humans that we don't care about.
But like you said, definite Thing movie, the original Thing movie vibes here. It's almost taken from that movie, isn't it? You could see those the outdoor scenes. Okay, there's a brief. If you look carefully, Pops, you can see a little bit of a face hugger on the green screen of one of the monitors there. Is that all we're going to get?
Reset the page count to 3. We're 3 pages in between face hugger references, I guess. I don't know.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I love the fact that they're supposed to be outside in the blizzard and the snow with their goggles, but they wear their goggles on their forehead. They don't actually wear their goggles to protect their eyes in the snow.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a good good catch.
Way to go.
I missed that.
So they're subtly telling us that we're dealing with a lot of humans that are not very smart is basically what we're learning from these, because scientists usually follow the science that we have for ourselves. Well, that's a beautiful page of nothing. Go back to that.
Wasn't it?
Here's a page of satellite dishes.
At least that was quick for the artist to draw. He got that page done very quickly.
Well, the irony is if this was an Image comic, that would be like 4 boxes, like in one row. Like it would just be, it would be reduced to 4 boxes in one row, and then we would move on. Like one box, they would do the exact same thing. It would just be 4 boxes, and that's it, 4 panels, and then we would instead Marvel paid for an entire page of nothing, not a human, not an alien, a bunch of satellite dishes in space. So stupid.
Oh dear. Okay, we go down. So again,
Yeah.
we get a little bit of a view of a face hugger at the bottom there.
Oh yeah, look,
Then-
yeah. A pregnant
Oh,
lady.
food as well. I have to have a food scene.
And we got to talk about some food probably. Pregnant lady's gonna have to have some food. And the little guy, he seems angry about it. So maybe she didn't make it right. So we'll see. A lot of talking, a lot of
There is,
walking.
isn't there?
Nothing going on.
Okay, back to space. There's a spaceship at least in space doing something. We're not sure what. We get a little
feel
bit
like
of
this
a
is
reference
made
to
by, like,
family.
Hey, go back a couple pages. Let me see a couple pages backwards. Yeah, okay.
This one.
No, go back one more to the side. Yeah, okay. I was just trying to look at the designs of 2, 3, 1. Go forward, and then it's like 1, 3, 1. It's like it's not 100%.
I see what you mean. You mean the page
it's just,
layout.
yeah, the way they lay everything out, and it's like 1, 1, 3. I was trying to look at how they do it. I don't know that they're going for something that's working with the story or not. I'm just kind of like, I'm not impressed by anything. There's no diagonals. There's no like little mini boxes. Then when you get to this, and the same thing with like the satellite dishes. This is a page where I could just care absolutely less about. There's no humans. There's no aliens. You're very poorly communicating something with just subpar art. Nothing impressive. Oh, another page. Look at that. We've got like 4 pages with no humans or aliens or anything. It's just a picture. It's a page of holes.
We're talking about they're asking for your help, please. We need to get off this moon. And then, oh no, it's back to the humans.
Back to the humans. We have not manga girl talking to pregnant woman and angry not Kurt Russell. I'm all about my nicknames. If I can come up with nicknames, I'll enjoy them. Oh, look at this. A whole full page, and you would think they'd go all out on the art, and instead we got something that looks like the first draft of something that Ethan Van Sciver or what's the guy's name we were talking about earlier? Travis.
Travis Charest.
Yeah, that's like a first draft of a page that they would do.
This looks like a double page spread, but it's been split by the ridiculous comic book reader. There we go. There's the other part of it. It's Wayland Yutani. Nostalgia. Flashback. Member berries pops. And then, I guess this is going to be end, is it? Oh, we've got some robots. Robot soldiers, it looks like. Is it? Or are they just wearing masks and gear?
Well, they might actually be wearing their protective gear on this planet that requires it. So those are actually the smart humans that might last a little bit longer than the other humans that shouldn't have survived the elements, let alone the aliens.
Are we going to get any alien action before we finish?
I don't think so.
No.
So all we did was bring more humans into the mix to converse about the holes and the satellite dishes. So, all right.
No, nothing here.
That's all we get.
It's like, you wouldn't even know this is to do with aliens, would you? If you hadn't known that it's like from an alien comic. If you just like open this issue at random.
If you open the issue and you miss those first 3 pages, you would know there's no. But I guess the cover told us there were no aliens really on the cover, so we shouldn't expect aliens. Look at this. This is the girl. Every few pages, she's drawn completely different. She has no consistency in how she's drawn, and the guy is just angry in every other page. If he's not screaming or yelling, he's just is he missing an arm? What am I?
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that until here.
I'm like, wait a minute, has he been missing an arm the whole time? I didn't even notice that earlier.
I didn't notice it.
We'll
have a look back. Let's just get to the end. I think we're almost there because I'm dying to see any alien. I'm just going to go ahead now to Pops. Oh, we've got the girl going out on her own. No, well, this is long, isn't it? Oh, here we go. Finally, right at the end.
All right.
The
alien finally attacks on the last page and attacks the little girl.
Should we go back and see the guy?
I want to see if the guy has an arm. Did I miss something? Maybe he just never had an arm. I just didn't notice.
I didn't notice either. Oh, he doesn't here. No, he doesn't in...
Okay.
This is 2 weeks later, though. Let's go back before that scene. No, he doesn't. There we go. Okay. Wow.
So I don't know who's funding this project, but I don't know. We've got little teen girl, pregnant woman, and one arm not Kurt Russell, and like they don't know how to use their protective equipment. Look at this. This is what they're drawing in the snow, and they don't wear their goggles. What's the whole point of the goggles? Like, and did they imply they're on a different planet or moon? Is that what you said?
How is he pulling her up as well with one arm? I mean, wow! From the hole in the ice.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And I know we're
Okay, there
like,
we go. So
for
not impressed.
some people at home are probably like trying. They're like, that was inner brain of how we look at comic books when we read them. It's like, yeah, that was some definitely inner brain first reaction of, yeah, Gray and Pops reacts in live of the Alien book with no aliens. Like, yeah, you're right. If I picked it up on a shelf and let's just say my fingers kind of like held the first 3 or 4 pages, then the whole book, there's no aliens at all. There's barely a couple of random facehugger references before the final page. Yeah, that book is a mess. Thanks for saving me that time.
Not impressed with that, and it's a shame, isn't it? Because I'm sure you remember the days of Dark Horse, Dark Horse's Aliens comics. Wow,
love Alien comics. I love Alien comics, especially covers. Man, covers are just beautiful. I still have some that I got just for covers. I shouldn't have bought them. I didn't pay much for them, but still, I was trapped by the gimmick.
So I'm sorry to be like ending on a negative note, ladies and gentlemen out there, and we weren't being sarcastic, we were being honest. You know, that's the initial reaction. You know what I'm like, I'm usually positive. I was looking for good things in that issue, but nothing really jumped out that got me excited apart from the very opening page where you saw some frozen xenomorphs, aliens. That was about it, Pops. How about you?
And I didn't even really read it, right? We're just reacting to the comic. You should be able to tell a comic book in layers. You should be able to tell it with its pictures, and then you should be able to tell it with its dialogue. And
absolutely,
it failed miserably in at least half of what it's trying for. And actually, worse than that, we were being kind. I'm sure if I was looking at it a little more detailed, you can't have a design of we only have 3 main humans until the others show up. You can't have her design be that inconsistent from panel to panel in the same book. Like that's a huge flaw that we should not look past that. That's inexcusable. And definitely not some mainstream company that's got millions of dollars to farm out to all these different projects. If you got some indie project that's somebody's hand drawing and they're only able to get something done for a couple $1,000. Okay, obviously you can understand some of that in your development phase, but not Marvel, not Alien. Alien should be flying off the shelves with.
It should be, yeah. It should be like one of the flagship titles, shouldn't it, Pops?
Yeah. How are we going to stop these aliens? They're just running through the Marvel science fiction universe, but we got that. So, well, bro, thanks for that. I gotta admit, you saved me some time. I don't have to worry about trying to add that to my to-do list.
Me too. So I won't be picking any more of those up.
Yeah, I'm just curious clip this out and call it a review and move on.
Yeah. Easiest review ever, wasn't it? We were just
that's how I roll.
Comment. I'm sorry, we're making light of it, but you should, as you say, it's a visual storytelling medium, comic books, and there was nothing in that to make you think, oh wow, this is exciting. What's next? Turn the page. We were turning the page just to see, searching for aliens, incredibly, weren't we? Incredulous.
But you were showing the double page spread of this alien, this big moment, this big dramatic moment, and the detail of issue number 3 of Mark Millar's Ambassador has about 1,000 times more details drawn to it. So even if you're going to skimp on some of the pages, which by the way, there's a whole page of satellite dishes and a whole page of space, and just then you would spend your time and money on that page. Like that, it's a complete disaster to me. I don't even understand. So
it's got a bigger page count, Pops. I didn't count it, but because it seemed to take a while. But that's they're charging $4.99 for that, and it's supposedly, as you said, it's PG or it's parental guidance on the cover. As if you're expecting blood and shocks inside. But what did we get? We got dinner table scenes.
And again, this is the biggest thing they don't seem to get. It's like we should not be recommending you spend $5 on that comic book, because $5 will buy you good comic books from the Bronze Age, the Copper Age. We can find you some comic books to read, right? Graphic novels
absolutely
are really cheap if they're old. We've talked about endlessly about some of these old storylines. And reality is there's too much good stuff in entertainment, not just comic books, all of entertainment, to waste our time and money letting it consume us. You can keep your finger on the pulse of what could be good, but for $5, you go buy something good. You don't give it to them for this. They don't earn my money for that. I'll spend my $5 on something else.
Pops, can you spare 5 more minutes just before we finish? I want to show
I'm
you
good.
the
You keep going. I'm
great
doing just fine. I
new
think my
comics
video
this
even
week.
uploaded while we were talking, which is even better news.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's go out on having a look at the releases for this week, and I want to see if any of them catch your eye, and it'll be interesting to see whereabouts this Alien issue 1 is placed, because this is based on people who've put these into their digital pull list, you know, people who are interested, who are clicking on, okay, I'm going to pick this up. So let's have a look. So share the screen. 1 second. Okay. So the first one is Detective Comics, the latest issue, and then Action Comics. And Daredevil here, Pops, is the third most wanted, I guess. Anything jumping out from these first 2 lines here?
Well, I did do the Green Arrow.
Yes.
Right. So I'm on. How did you find this list? Where are you at on this? This is that site you're talking about?
Yeah, it's called leagueofcomicgeeks.com.
Okay, no, never mind. I'm on a different site. Okay. I don't really have interest right now to jump into Detective and Action. I'm more interested to maybe possibly go back to the first issue of that Daredevil run that you have liked and give it a run and give it a shot than any of the other stuff. Not doing Thor, not doing Hulk, She-Hulk stuff. That's not happening. I did the Green Arrow. That review I could probably drop today if I wanted to. I will definitely revisit the Turtles with the Last Ronin stuff there on the bottom right.
That's right.
I think we're about is that issue 3?
Yes, it is. The Lost Years, issue 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. So I'm going to probably do a catch up and a video on issues like 1 through 3 of that to kind of get caught people up. I did the first issue of Doctor Strange. I assume that's the second one.
Number 2 just came out Wednesday. What do you think? Any interest in it?
It is a hate read if I do, because the first one was such a mess. Yeah, I couldn't stand. I hated the first issue. So yeah, there's that. I don't see anything else of interest.
Can you see the Riddler one, Pops? That's one that I've not yet read it. I've not yet picked it up, but the Riddler Year 1, I've been enjoying that. But it is a very kind of Vertigo style comic book, very indie style art. It's a dark story. It's the actor telling the story of his character, before he's in the Batman movie. So I've been enjoying that, believe it or not.
No, I know you have said good things about it. I have kind of stayed away from all of the, Year 1 Batman Rogue Gallery character arcs for now. But I will not rule those out. I will say that one that's down there in the bottom. I've been looking for a Star Wars book to try for a minute. That Darth Vader black, white, and red, or black, red, and white.
Yes, just coming out issue 1, $4.99. I wonder what that would be like. I wonder if we'll have any good stories in.
I don't know, but I'm willing to kind of give something in Star Wars a go and give it a shot and see, kind of like a finger on the pulse thing. So that would be something.
Next to that, The Scorched is catching my eye. I've dropped out of it parts for the last few issues, but I've been hearing very good things about it recently. People saying it's really picked up, so kind of tempted. The Scorched there, only $2.99 as well.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I need to read it, because again, Image does a really good job too of telling me where to read. It has great editorial notes on things that it's pulling from the Spawn past, as well as trying to tell you what to read next if they're going to have crossover stuff. So Scorched, I'm at the point now where I need to get into Scorched to kind of follow along the greater picture that they put together. So I probably will read, I don't know how many issues is the first story arc, whether it be 3 issues or 5 issues, whatever it is. That's probably what I'll do on Scorched. I'll still be behind everybody else, but I probably will get to that within the next couple of weeks.
So scrolling down, we're on the 4th row, the end of the 4th row, Pops. We've got the Alien issue we just looked at. Here it is. So that's how in demand this is.
I noticed that no one, because you said this is kind of like on like virtual pull lists and stuff. I noticed that there's not a lot of X-Men being talked about.
No.
Proving out our point from earlier.
Absolutely.
There's ambassadors that you're talking about. Good for them.
That's down there. That's right, ambassadors. This one has been fun. I read the issue 1 last month, Clobbering Time, with The Thing, Ben Grimm, The Thing. That was a lot of fun. It's got a really good, what's the word, not good, a distinctive art style you might like. An artist called Steve Scroach, who's writing it as well.
Okay. I'm sorry, was that Gargoyles? They're like...
Oh, yeah, oh my goodness, this one. Yeah, I didn't even know that was coming out.
Gargoyles? Like based on the cartoon?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, that's kind of fun. I don't know. Does Marvel, who owns that? Who's publishing that?
That's Dynamite. It says Disney's Gargoyles, and it's published by Dynamite.
They licensed it out. Huh.
Wow.
I have had people ask me to do a little bit of the rewatch of the cartoon, do a
Oh,
few things like
really?
that. I didn't know there was like a new comic book too.
Let's have a look
Anything
if
they
there's
license
any
out might be
interest.
interesting.
Let's
So,
click on it. Okay, only four reviews so far. 4 out of 4 people liked it. No written reviews, but oh my goodness, Pops! Look at all these variant covers.
no, okay.
Oh,
Gosh,
oh,
what a
come on,
nightmare.
that's dynamite, isn't it? All over. Look at
Look
that.
at that. They are milking that for every freaking penny out of you.
That is ridiculous.
Folks, if you were spending money on that and you're buying like that many variant covers, you are going to have so much regret in your life later on. These are going to be like so cheap. You're not going to be. And I remember, and I'm telling you that as someone who had like the variant Wetworks covers from Image and all these, variant number ones. And I don't know. I think I gave a box to like my son-in-law. Like I just
You've
gave
even
him
got a
all.
Jay Lee one. Sorry to interrupt. Jay Lee's done a variant for this, Pops.
Good
Good
on him.
grief.
Cash that check, Jay.
Yeah.
See, that was at least but the cover is at least interesting. Like it's
That's a
cool
good
and
cover.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
The one that was
way.
the main cover with the big girl on the front's not interesting. A gargoyle book with this big human girl on the cover was not. At
Where's the
least Jay.
gargoyles? It's like the
Yeah.
alien issue all over again, is it? Where are the aliens?
I'd like some gargoyles in my gargoyle comic book, please.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Well, that was like the Superman variant. They had these variant covers for that Superman #2, and it was Marilyn Moonlight. And I'm like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
on earth is this? It's like yeah, and it's just because they want to have the variant cover worth a bunch of money for the speculators. If you believe that she'll become something of relevance, is all.
So just go back down to where we were next to or below the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Below Gargoyles, we have Local Man issue 3,
Yeah.
which
Good,
you're gonna
good.
you're gonna cover on your channel next time, aren't
Yeah, can't wait to get into that. Dune, huh? Okay.
we? I've heard that was terrible. I haven't read it, so I can't say for sure. But the reviews I've seen have been 4 and 5 out of 10 every issue.
Wow. A Blade Runner comic. Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of that, Pops, that's Titan, yeah? I think it's a British publisher, Titan. They've
Huh.
landed the license to publish Conan, and that'll be coming out. Issue 1 will be coming out in July. It popped up on the,
Oh, great news.
solicits. So that's
So
Jim
for a
Zub
dying,
right
so
now.
for such a bad industry, they sure are still generating a lot of books, though.
Yeah,
So, I
look
mean,
at it.
I have to
Still
be
going,
honest.
aren't we?
There's
Still
still
going
a
down.
lot of comics.
Good grief. 2000 AD right at the bottom there. I used to love that, but I just can't keep up with it. It's weekly, every week. I can't keep buying it. We're still going down. Unbelievable.
It's insane. I have to ask sometimes. I
That's it.
see these lists, and so I don't really know where to begin. Sometimes, like I said,
No.
I try to find gateway. I have the same problem all the people at home do. It's like, how do I jump in? Where do I start? So I look for like a one issue in, or I try to find someone who might have reviewed, like I said with, The Last Ronin, the In Between Years book. It's like, well, they're on issue 3, so I'll wait till they're a couple issues in, and then I'll read a chunk of it, something like that. I'll just look for entry points because a lot of this is just noise. I don't even know where to begin.
No, I'm the same. Absolutely. Okay, that was cool. To
And
get
you
your
and I
take
are
on that.
doing several titles a piece. So we're and we're into this. I can't imagine how like the newer people feel. Like it's just so overwhelming for them. Yeah.
I know. No,
Yeah.
no idea. Okay, that's cool, Pop. So before we finish things up, I'm not sure when I'll be posting this. It'll probably be within the next few days.
Sure.
I can get it uploaded. But do you want to shout anything out on your channel?
No, listen, it's YouTube /@Pops, Comic Book Wednesdays, where I do a comic book talk. I bring on people like Gray or maybe an independent creator, someone who wants to talk to me, or other YouTubers, or sometimes it's just me. And we're talking about comic books. And then that's usually Wednesday. It's usually when I drop most of my comic book reviews. Like I said, I've done reviews at times that don't make it for Wednesday, so they get dropped in and around that. But I usually try to drop 1 or 2 reviews that day. And then Throwback Thursdays, where I try to find older movie or movies, things from our past to kind of focus on, usually from a positive point, or I try to put a spin on it. This one of the most recent ones you'll see, folks, if you go back on Throwback Thursday, you'll find my take on Batman '89, where I really tried to explain why it was such a blockbuster. Not really a review exactly. It's more about like trying to understand some of the perspective, because I met someone who watched it and they kind of didn't get it. Like it just didn't work, right?
Watching it these
And I said,
days, yeah.
I said you have to understand. So the video is more than just. It's not meant to be just a review. But yeah, Saturday morning cartoons has kind of become a thing in our little fan circle where I'm doing like an X-Men and a Batman animated series rewatch and reaction, and threading that with YouTubers like yourself talking about our memories and vintage cartoon. I mean, sorry, vintage commercials.
Do you have
Things like
guests on for that, Pops, for the
that.
Saturday morning cartoons, or is it just you?
I have been doing what I call the in-betweener. So I have the in-betweener where if I have a chance to talk to someone like yourself, I'll keep them for a little bit and do a little clip. So I done Arwen Avalon did a clip. Knitters Network has done a clip. Lady B got Lady B. She's got a clip. So I've been trying to. Scott from Sporking News. He was my first. He was my first one who did a clip where he talked about some of the things he liked. We were trying to work out our bugs back then. So it's evolved quite nicely. What's Your Story, of course, is a weekly show I do Sunday mornings. It premieres at 9, so it's there for everybody when they get up here in the States. Kind of a full palette of content that kind of shows all of who I am. Because like you, Gray, we're like, our heyday is this late 80s, 90s. And for me, when you go to a comic shop, it wasn't just comic books. Everything was all underway. It was just nerddom. So other than not being really into gaming, because that's not my scene, I'm really not into anime or manga, really. I'm not adverse to these things. I'm not versed in them. So I don't want to try to talk about things I don't know much about. But yeah, just that's the channel's loaded with all sorts of stuff. And most importantly, the door is open for you to just offer suggestions and feedback and things like that. I just love all that more than anything else.
Great to know. Good to hear, and great to have you on again, Pops. Yeah. I was watching your Superman issue 3 review earlier this morning before, or it might have been when I got home. I can't remember when it dropped. Getting ready for this stream, I was like, that's when I heard that you're like, oh no, Pops didn't like it either. I thought it was just me, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, looking forward to catching up again. Hopefully, we'll be doing it on your channel next time.
Yeah, we'll be on my channel here in a few weeks. It'd be fun to do that and kind of get another finger on the pulse of comics and what's going on. And maybe we'll do another live sort of reaction like that with Alien. That was kind of fun because they're just like randomly pull something up and you can just see both our brains kind of processing like, what are we? And I think that initially it's like this is one of the things, like you have two major elements. You have the visual element and then the story element. And if you are radically missing on one of those two, you can't have a successful book. It just does. It's not going to work. Each piece has to be harmonious to the other. It just can't work. So that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed doing that on my channel too. And I don't remember which video it was, if it was the Green Arrow that I did or if it's Exo Man of War. One of them is pretty much a live reaction like that with just me opening the book and reacting because I just didn't have, it was like a time management issue. Like, oh crap, this is out today. Let me get to that. So
I don't know how you do it anyway, Pot. I don't know how you get all your content out because you have some
I
serious amount of content.
I pre-record. I'm always like, I just kind of like treat it as a checklist of just like filling in the next box of, this has been recorded for this day. This is recorded for that day, and just keep moving to the next box.
And even when do you have time to edit, to do your thumbnails, to upload it, to do the description? It all takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, I get teased. My dad probably teases me the most talking about me being a juggler, because when I'm not YouTubing and I'm with Mrs. Pops or whatever, that's Mrs. Pops' time, right? When I'm on the floor playing with my grandkids, playing Legos, that's grandkids Lego time.
Absolutely.
Right? So I very much believe in the quality of life and the work balance. But when I'm doing this, I'm all in. I love doing this. This isn't like it's work for me. I actually love it. And I will admit, I have a very generic, simplistic approach to this. I know people find glitches and, hey, your sound is off here, and oh, you got this issue. I'm like, yeah, probably. Sorry about that. Hopefully you don't hate it enough, and you can go on to the next video and give me a slide on that one, because every now and again that will happen.
We're doing this from home. We're doing this like with the basic equipment. We're not professional.
No staff.
We have studios.
We have no staff. We have no production teams. We barely can have time to retweet each other's stuff or catch someone's videos. It's great, but it's also like a whirlwind that you kind of find yourself in sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been great fun and great catching up with you again. I always enjoy these talks. I'm glad we're kind of doing this more than just once a month, which we were doing before, or even once every couple of months. So if we can do it, if we can manage it twice a month, like once on yours and once on mine, that'd be great.
Yeah, it seems like that's working okay. There's going to be some times, of course, it doesn't, but
Oh yeah,
at the
for
same
sure.
time, it's still just amazing to be able to find someone across the globe just hang out like this. Like this is what's made this fun. The world has kind of shrunk for us,
Yes.
and as much as we complain about StreamYards or Restream, it's given us the opportunity to do this, and hopefully we're going to laugh about this, Greg. Like in 5 years, we're going to laugh. Oh, remember StreamYard? Remember how we
I
used to
hope
kick
so.
ourselves out of the studio? Remember how we used to have those editing problems? It's just because it's just yeah, it's evolving that fast. It's just evolving that fast.
Absolutely, and it comes back to the word you started the stream with, blessed. That's another reason why I'm blessed
Yes.
to have these tools to be able to do this. Meet up with you, even only through a screen virtually, but it does feel like we're hanging out, talking about comics.
All right. All right.
Okay, well, this leaves me to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you in a future video, and don't forget to check out Pops' channel. I'm sure you're already subscribed. If you're not, why not? Let's rectify that today. And yeah, looking forward to talking comics with Pops again, and hopefully I'll maybe have a comic book review out before this weekend. I'm kind of busy this weekend, Pops. I've got work on Saturday for a change. It's a 6-day week, but then next week we have the Japanese Golden Week, it's called, which is normally just 3 days, but it's worked out where we get the 5 working days off. So with a weekend you've got almost is it 8 days, 8 days off? It's amazing.
Wow. Wow. It's awesome, man. You gotta get and stay Genki, man.
I will stay Genki, and I hope you do too, and I hope your little piglets are Genki too.